much for tuning in to another episode of Authors to Know and Their Books to Read. I'm your host, Martinique Brown. I'm so excited that you have decided to tune into the show. You know why? Because we have author Verdel Jones, who is the author of The Parent Agent. You just not anybody. You got to be the parent agent for your child. And she actually teaches us how to represent your child and get them into the college of their choice. So that's the name of her book, The Parent Agent, How to Represent Your Child and Get Them into the College of Your Choice. So, Verdel, if you can just let the viewers know a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. I've been an educator for over 24 years. I was a business teacher, and then I was a guidance counselor, and now I'm the director of guidance for a district on Long Island, New York. And I'm really passionate about sharing what I know with individuals on how to navigate the process of applying for college.
Wow, so you're a guidance counselor. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, you have a lot of patience, I bet you. Because I bet you sometimes you just want to shake those kids. Like, you are so talented.
Yeah. It's the parents that sometimes I want to shake, but the students as well. Education is definitely a calling, and I love being able to have a positive impact on families and children, and just helping them. And that's what teachers do.
That's good. That's
Mhm.
good. So why did you decide to write your book, The Parent Agent?
So when I was I was doing a workshop for parents, and they were parents of 11th grade students,
Okay.
and I had an 11th grade student. My son was getting ready to embark on the college. We've been looking at colleges since he was very young, but we were really in the thick of things in his 11th grade year. And when I started talking to the parents, I just came up with this concept that you really are an agent for your children.
Yeah.
You go out and you find the resources for them, you find information for them, and you bring it to them, just like a sports agent brings opportunities to their athletes, and then they have to perform. And as I was saying this to them, I kind of got a little overwhelmed because I had a student in the same timeline as them. And, and it really kind of prompted me to say, hey, parents really need a tool to help their children get through this process, but starting at an early age and really getting to know their child.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is so good that, like, in the moment of you speaking to them, you actually had a child that was in that same grade as them. So you can really just empathize with them.
Exactly. I was really feeling their pain.
So now, can you just walk us through your book, The Parent Agent?
Sure. So one of the key pieces of The Parent Agent is to really teach parents how to get to know their child. Mm-hmm. So we talk a lot about that. I share personal experiences, things that I've gone through with my own children, and things that I've discovered about them that makes it so important to help them in that process. And there's also timelines, and a lot of the times parents, they don't have to be experts in the college process at all, but they need to know what to ask who at what point, at what time. So I think it's very important for parents to have that knowledge so they can go to the experts in that area, like a guidance counselor, to ask them those specific questions along the journey. But one of the things that I also put in there is things about, financial aid, how to actually look for a particular college, and how to meet how to match your students' interests with the college that they might be interested in going to. And then even after, when they get into college, what do they need to know? What are some of the steps? How do you prepare to send your child off to college? So it's really a comprehensive view of the college application process, but it's starting at a very early age, and even in elementary school. And it doesn't mean you have to have a college picked out. But what I like to say is, get your children on a campus. If there's a basketball game at a local college, go to it, so they can kind of get that sense of what the college is like, and they have those aspirations to want to go to college in the future.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I know that you were talking about starting at an early age. Mm-hmm. What grade are you actually recommending that parents or guardians start this process of just the early planning?
So like I was saying, with elementary school students, it's a good idea just to expose them to campuses. It doesn't mean that, okay, this is the college that they're going to and this is the major that they're going to have. But I like to look at it as just exposure. So there are plays on college campuses, there are football games on college campuses, basketball games. There's a lot of different activities that parents can take advantage of and have their elementary students on the campus just to get them like, okay, this is what a college is. This is what students do on college campuses. So even at elementary. So when you get to junior high school, you take that up a notch, expose them, start asking them about what their interests are. What do they want to do? What are they good at? What do they really like? And then by the time they get into ninth grade, I think there really needs to be a conversation about there, and again, it really goes back to knowing your child, but there's conversations about what do you like? Do you like a big campus? Do you like a small campus? But there's certain questions that you can ask students to kind of get, or your children to kind of get that idea. But honestly, by the time your child is in 10th grade, you should really have a plan in place to go forward, to do the research, to figure out what colleges are available and what their interests are and how they might, what colleges they might be interested in actually visiting. And visiting to me is like a big part. You have to get on the college campus. Even if you're in the local area. I'm on Long Island, and we have a lot of college campuses on Long Island. So even though they might not be the colleges students want to go to, they're the types of colleges. You have a small campus, you have a big campus, you have a medium campus. So they can get that kind of feel of those campuses, even if they're not really going to go to those schools, but it gives them an idea of what they kind of look like,
Yeah, yeah. And I know one thing that was really beneficial to me when I was looking for schools to attend. We actually had this woman, and her name was Deborah Howard, and she actually created opportunities for us to go on college tours. And so shout out to Deborah Howard.
That's key. That's key.
Yeah. And so she took us to, I'm from Ohio. So
okay.
So she took us to a lot of the down south colleges. So it was just very impactful,
Absolutely.
on my life. And I was like, oh, I'm going to one of these.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to be discouraged if they cannot go to these colleges out the state, because you have a college right in your backyard.
Exactly. And you know what too, which I think is really key, that some parents might not know, or some individuals might not know, there are so many opportunities to get on a college campus. And one of the things, especially if we're talking about students of color, these campuses want students of color. So there's programs that students can actually attend for free to get them on campus. And those are the things like enrichment programs. Those are the things parents should look at. So if you don't want to, because it's an expense to visit these campuses, you can look on a college website, see if they have any type of diversity recruitment or diversity programs on the college campus, and take advantage of those. They want to get our students on campus. So this is a great way to do that. Another thing is, like you said, the local colleges. Go visit local colleges. They're going to be pretty similar from state to state, but at least it gives you, an example of what these colleges look like. But definitely look at programs available for our students to get on campus. They want you there. They definitely want you there.
That's good. So do you actually offer that timeline in your book?
I actually do. Yes, there's checklists and timelines that are in the book, starting from elementary all the way up to high school years. So parents can get a really a sense of what to do when, and how to visit colleges. I have a whole section in there about what to do when you go to a campus and visit, and what you should look for and what you should ask, and how to actually do it.
Yeah. And you know what, when you were talking about that checklist, I was thinking about brides that begin to prepare for their weddings, and they purchase these books, and it is so detailed. It's so good.
Yeah, it is. You have to, because there are so many things that you can actually miss in the process. And then the parent agent kind of gives you those details step by step by step, so you don't miss anything. And it kind of talks about who you should contact about those certain things. The guidance counselor, a lot of people, guidance counselors sometimes get a bad rap because they, parents say, oh, they don't do anything, or kids say that. But you have to go seek them out. You have to make sure that you seek them out because that's their job. So you need to utilize them. And one of the things that I also mentioned is in ninth grade, have your child go introduce themselves to their counselor. The counselor is the keeper of a lot of opportunities, whether it be programs or scholarships, all of that. If they don't know you, they will not recommend you for them. So you need to go and introduce yourself to your counselor in ninth grade. And it could be a simple conversation. Hi, my name is Verdel Jones. I wanted to meet you. I just want to say hello. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah. And let me ask you this. What is the specific role of a guidance counselor in high school?
Good question. They are in charge of academics. So what a good guidance counselor should be doing is checking your graduation progress. They should be checking your to make sure you're on track for graduation. They're the like liaison. So say, for example, a student has a problem with a teacher, which happens. They might not get along with that teacher. The guidance counselor is that contact person for the student and the parent to be able to foster a relationship between the teacher and the student and the parent. So that's one of their roles. They should be the keeper of your college progress. They should let you know when you have to take your PSATs, your ACTs, your SATs. Another thing that a guidance counselor is very vital in is setting up your courses for the following year. So I always tell parents it's so important that you know when registration is for the next year, so you can take advantage of AP or honors level courses. And the counselor should be, really intimately involved with that. And they're also there for social and emotional support. If you have a problem, a lot of, you get middle school counselors, high school counselors, they have a problem with their boyfriend, or their girlfriend. So the counselor is the kind of person that they can kind of talk to and confide in and help them along with those things.
Yeah. And one type of parent that just crossed my mind were parents that do not feel that their child is the type of child to go to college. I kind of feel that they haven't even talked to their child to see if they want to go to college, and they're already assuming, well, my child isn't fit to go to college.
Right.
What would you say to those parents?
So I would say to them, the conversation is very key. And there's a couple of things in that question. Number one is a parent needs to, and I stress this so much in the book, they need to get to know their child. You know your child. You know what kind of study habits they have, or what their academic acuity is. You know that. So you have to be involved with that from a very early age. We told our children, look, if I see that you're doing the right thing in high school, even in middle school, you have those study habits, you really want to, you're a good student, then you can go to whatever college you want to. But for students who, might not have the best experience in high school for whatever reason, they can start small, talk to them about maybe a community college, and then we'll go forward after that. But there's some college is not for everybody. And that's one of the things that a lot of people kind of get caught up when my child has to go to college. My child has to go to college. That's not necessarily the case. College is not for everybody. But I will say that you need to have a plan. I'm a big planner.
Yeah.
I believe you have to put systems in place to make your child successful. So you need to have those conversations. You need to have the opportunity to get your children to talk to you about what they're interested in. And you have to have that open dialogue with your students. And some parents don't want to. They shut their kids down. You can't. You have to have that open dialogue with them.
Yeah. And maybe a aunt or an uncle that does not mind having that conversation with your child.
Right.
Go ahead, pass the baton.
Right, because sometimes students don't want to talk to their parents because mom and dad don't know anything.
Yeah.
So as a parent, what you do, you can be a little sneaky. You can talk to, auntie and uncle and say, hey, can you talk to my child about X, Y, and Z? It might be better received coming from somebody else other than a parent.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Now, if you're just not tuning into the show, I have Verdel Jones. She is actually the author of The Parent Agent, How to Represent Your Child and Get Them into the College of Their Choice. Make sure you go ahead and share this video now so more individuals can learn more about Verdel Jones and her book. So make sure you also post your questions and comments so I can relay them to Verdel as well. So one thing that you do suggest is that parents think about who their child is. I know that you have talked about that, but why did you feel that it was imperative to include that in your book?
And I think it comes from our experience with our own children. So I'll give you an example. Our son went to a college that was, once we got on the college campus, it was the perfect fit for him.
Okay.
And you always hear that. You always hear, when you get on campus, is it going to be the perfect fit? And that's what you're looking for. And we knew we took the opportunity at a young age to get to know who he was.
Okay.
What he likes to be involved with, what he likes to have around him to feel comfortable. What type of individuals does he need to be around? Mm-hmm. So at an early age, we had those conversations. We also put him and part of the parent agent is putting your children in spaces that will benefit them.
Okay.
So he majored in film. He started making films since he was 6 years old. We knew that was his interest. So we would feed him into those avenues. And the same with our daughter. She's a journalist. Mm-hmm. Same thing. We put her in those activities that would nurture her love of writing and investigation and research and all of that. So getting to know your child and what their interests are and how they feel, like we know our son is comfortable in certain circumstances and not so comfortable in others. We knew that the college that they decided to go to would have to fit them, because the goal is not only to get them into college, but to have them stay. And so it was important for us to know who our children were and what they liked, to keep them in college. So for example, our son he was a film major. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to be in an environment, and we knew that, where there was stimulation that would satisfy his interest. There had to be a movie theater that was in close proximity. He wasn't in the boondocks, Yeah. So little things like that, and knowing them, and then kind of assessing what was around to fit their needs, helped them stay. Our children both graduated in 4 years because they were on a campus that kind of appealed to their interests. They both kind of liked the stimulation of a city environment, and they went to schools that were in cities. So we kind of knew that, just from our experiences and listening to them and hearing out what they really enjoyed, and having a major in mind. I'm a big believer in students knowing what they want to do at an early age. I just, if maybe not their career goal, but what their interests are. So you find a campus or school rather that has some of the things that they're interested in, that can kind of keep them engaged. You want them to stay. You don't want a kid to get into school and then a year, out, they drop out because it just wasn't a right fit. Mm-hmm. So knowing them ahead of time is so important, because it really gives you a better indication of what the fit might be for them.
Yeah. And that's key. Yeah. How do you speak to those parents though, that has children whose interests are always changing?
Yeah. So then it becomes a point where you have to pick a college that the major or whatever doesn't really, it doesn't matter as much, but you have to pick a school that has a wide variety of majors. So say, for example, a student they're all over the place, but that they like a city. Okay. Then pick a school in the city that has enough majors in there to satisfy all of their interests. That's not narrow in focus. Mm-hmm. So you might have to pick a bigger school that has more options for them, but it's in a city. That they don't mind being in a rural area or a suburban area, then pick a school like that. So then your focus is going to be a little bit different. When we started looking for schools for our children, we knew what their majors were going to be. So we looked for specific schools. And then the other stuff, we made sure that, we accommodated them. But if you have a student that's all over the place, find a school that meets their likes, urban, suburban, rural, or whatever it might be. But with a lot of opportunity so they can kind of navigate that. Okay. And find a good advisor. Go to the school's advisors and see if there's any, like a lot of schools will have undecided advisors, and they can talk to those undecided advisors. They work with these kids that are like this all the time. Yeah. So they know how to kind of work with them to find out what they might be interested in. So that's very important. Find out if there's an undecided type of counselor that they can talk to and work with to help them figure it out.
That is such a specific advisor. I didn't even know they had those.
Yes, they do. Yep.
So what can your child do to feel a part of this entire process? Because it sounds like a lot of things that the parent is doing.
Yeah.
And I need my child to have some skin in the game too.
That's right. And I mentioned this in the book, there are certain things that parents need to have their hands in. They need to be the driving force. Financial aid, it's hard for students to navigate financial aid. It's a little complicated for them to get, but there are things that students can definitely do. They can set up the appointments to go on visits. They can let you know what they're interested in. And that takes a parent to kind of, pull that out of them. But there's definitely things they can do. Like I was saying, a parent agent finds the opportunities for students, because sometimes it's overwhelming to find out what opportunities are available for children, but it's their job to actually do it. So if there's an essay that needs to be done, I'm not doing the essay, they're doing the essay. So it's things like that. Look, I'm telling you, this is a program that I think you would really benefit from, but you have to do the application. You have to do the essay. You have to follow up with your counselor to make sure that the transcript is sent, if there's a transcript that needs to be sent. So there's things that you can kind of dole out to them and delegate to them to make sure they do it. There's some students that take initiative and do all of this stuff, but there's others that do not. And that's when a parent has to kind of jump in, but don't do it all. Pass that to them, but set them up for success and making sure you tell them exactly what they need to do, and then watch them flourish and do it.
So if you are that type of parent though, that you're delegating, you're telling your child, okay, you need to do this.
Right.
I read this great book called The Parent Agent, and you need to have this done, and that child is not doing it. What do you do? Do you just throw your hands up and say, hey, look, this is your life. You don't want to take initiative and do things, I'm here to help you. What do you do in those situations?
They have to want it. They really have to want it, honestly. I have these things called Senior in Jeopardy meetings. These are meetings that we have with students and their parents in their senior year, and they're in jeopardy of not graduating.
Oh, you call it Senior in Jeopardy?
Senior in Jeopardy meeting.
At first I was thinking you was like a Jeopardy game. I'm like, that's not fun.
No, it is not fun.
It is not fun.
So what I'd say to the parents, I'm like, you're just here really because you're here because you're the parent. I look at the student and say, this is all on you. You have to be the one to want to graduate. Parents at this stage can't do anything. It's the child. So, it's really, there's a certain point when it becomes a parent has to say, look, I can't want this more than you. I really believe that. And the student there has to be a light bulb moment for the student to be able to get this done, because, a parent can only do so much when the child is 16, 17, 18. What really can they do? The child is going to be the driving force. They have to be motivated enough to get this done. And you don't want to, as a parent, to spend your money on somebody doesn't have any skin in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you ever speak at speaking engagements about your book?
Sure. Yes. I speak to different organizations, different groups that, that really, either to students or to parents, that really want to have some insight onto what the process is about. So yeah, I talk to individuals, all the time. I do workshops, through my district, do, like I said, community organizations that really just want to kind of give parents some insight into what the process is about, whether it be financial aid or visiting a college campus or.
That's good. That's good. And if you're interested in having Verdel come and speak at one of your events, her email and cell phone number is also in the description box. So, have you ever gotten any feedback from other individuals who utilized your book that weren't parents?
Yeah, so I've had a couple of people that have read it that that have gotten back to me in reference to that, and one of the things that really comes across is they know that parents or people that they know don't have this information. Because as if you're not a parent but you know people that have parents, or you have nieces, you have nephews, you have individuals in your circles that can utilize this information, the feedback that I've gotten is very positive. And one of the things that always comes across when I talk to individuals about the book is the way in which I kind of lay out the application process from an early age. I think that's one of the biggest things that kind of comes across, and getting to know your child and how important that is. So they recommend the book to their nephews and nieces and brothers and sisters, to kind of get some insight into that.
That's good. That's good. And if you do fall into that category, like myself, an aunt or
auntie,
or maybe you're an uncle,
right?
If you would like to purchase this book for your sister or brother, make sure you visit the description box, because it has the link where you can purchase Verdel's book as well. So, with all of the books out there that talks about college admissions, why is yours the best one to add to our bookshelf?
I think because it's the approach of looking at parents as the parent agent. A lot of what I do in the book is put in my personal experiences and my professional experience. So I kind of meld the two. I've been an educator for over 20 something years, and I have that background as an educator, and from that point of view. But I also put in personal stories and how we were able to navigate that process as a parent. As I said in the beginning, when I was giving that presentation and I had an 11th grade students and I'm talking to parents about it, I'm like, whoa, this is not an easy process to get through. And parents need help with this. So I really do love the way that I'm able to let parents know about the process from both points of view. Yeah.
And I think that that's really good, that you just not some Joe off the street, that had to write the book. You are actually a guidance counselor, in the
exactly.
field. And
right,
so
exactly. Really, and I've seen it all. I've worked in I've only worked in 2 districts in my whole career, and they were vastly different. So the approaches are very, very different in each of the districts. And I was able to kind of find a way to, to work with both districts, even though they were very different, to get the best out of and to provide the best services for each set of, of districts, the 2 districts.
That's good. So what should people expect to learn when they watch your show, Conversations with Verdel Jones, on YouTube? So I don't want you guys to just think, oh, she's just an author. No, she is more. Like I said in the beginning, she actually has a YouTube channel, and it's called Conversations with Verdel Jones. Yes. And that link is in the description box. But she's going to tell us more about her show, as well as, what we can learn when we tune in.
Thank you. Yes. So, yes, I have a show called Conversations with Verdel Jones. And when I open up the show, I said, I say, being an educator at heart, I'm dedicated to sharing conversations that inform and enlighten, in the hopes that you learn something you may not have known. And, everything that I do starts with teaching people something. Okay. So whether it be, I have a mental health professionals, I have a lot of mental health professionals on. I have real estate people on. I have financial advisors on. I have filmmakers on. I have authors on as well, because I think it's so important for us to gain knowledge about things that we may not know about. So my whole goal with Conversations with Verdel Jones is to bring awareness to a lot of different topics. I've had drug counselors on, just a lot of, self-help type people on, just so people get insight to a lot of different topics that can enrich their lives. I think it's so important. And I the reason I started this show was because there were a lot of, sometimes we hold things in and we keep it to ourselves.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I wrote the book. I have a lot of knowledge and I want to share it. And there's a lot of people who are in the same boat. They have a lot of knowledge that they want to share to better individuals' lives. And that's why I have the show. I have people that come on that are awesome people that can share so much information. And I want to get that information out to people. So Conversations with Verdel Jones is really, really about that.
And make sure, like I said, Verdel's YouTube channel, the link is in the description box. But one of the great things that you should do when you visit people's YouTube channel, they have a little bell that's right there on the right hand side, upper right hand. Make sure you click that bell, because that allows you to be notified when they post new shows to their channel. So not only does Verdel host her show, Conversations with Verdel Jones, she's an author, but she's also an entrepreneur. So can you tell the viewers more about your company?
Deli Teach, it's kind of a branch off of everything that I do. So Conversations with Verdel Jones, the book, Myanmar Productions, is all involved with Deli Teach Enterprises. And also as part of that, I speak. But this past, in June, earlier this month, we had a great event. It was called the Write, Rhyme, and Recite Collective. It was celebrating young poets and highlighting authors. When I became an author, I realized that once you kind of exhaust your circle of friends and family and things like that, it's kind of hard to keep the momentum going for your book. So I wanted to create a space where I can bring authors together to kind of network and also gain new audiences. So I had an author showcase a couple of years ago, and I expanded that to have a scholarship as well. So the event that we had the beginning of the month, we gave away, let's see, how much did we give away? $2,500 in scholarships to students who were in a Poetry Slam scholarship. And we also had authors represented as well. So they were able to kind of share their book and gain a new audience. So Deli Teach, really what I do is with the show, it's kind of an extension of my show, because it's really an opportunity for me to get other people to share what they know. And by various events and things like that, we're able to do that with Deli Teach. The other thing that we do is Myanmar Productions. It's a family business. We create videos for individuals, whether it be author videos or sizzle reels for people, or covering events. We do that. My son is an editor, filmmaker. My daughter's a journalist. My husband, he does some voiceovers. So we're able to promote companies in various different ways, whether it be, like I said, an author kind of video, or events, or even ads for people, video ads for individuals as well. And it's a family, like I said, it's a family production.
That's excellent. So a sizzle reel, is that a promo video for any
Absolutely.
industry?
For any industry. A sizzle reel, just for an example, we did it for a speaker. So this particular speaker that we had, he had done various different media appearances. So what we were able to do was kind of get a snapshot of all his media appearances. And this is a way that he can promote himself. So we can send that video, hey, this is what I've been involved with, this is what I do. And it's just a way to market himself.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. So like I said before, if you are interested in utilizing Verdel's other services, because she just, she touches on everybody. That's okay, you're going to need a sizzle reel.
That's right.
So make sure that you reach out to her on her email or cell phone. And she actually does respond to her Facebook messages. So if you want to reach out that way, so that's really good as well. Verdel, I just thank you so much for just being on the show, Authors to Know and Their Books to Read. It really sounds like this is a great resource for individuals, because I think that regardless of the path that your child begins to go for their school, you should still have a plan for them.
Absolutely.
You know, and that resource really just breaks down everything, you know, for them. And so, like I said, I thank you for being on the show again.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. And you know, the great thing about having you on the show is because you're a host. So it's kind of like, when do people get to ask the host question?
That's right. I love it. This is great.
Yes. And I thank you all viewers for taking time to watch another episode of Authors to Know and Their Books to Read. You guys have a great night. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.